In the warm, shallow waters off the north coast of Australia, drifts an animal that can stop a human heart in a matter of minutes. Its sting is among the fastest-acting weapons in the entire ocean, potent enough to kill a grown adult before they can reach the shore, and it has taken lives on Australian beaches, including those of children. That alone would make it worth knowing about. But the venom is not the reason this animal should not exist. The reason is something far stranger, something that sits right at the edge of what biology is supposed to allow. Because this creature hunts. It chases down prey, it steers around obstacles, it makes decisions about where to go and what to do, and it does all of it while watching the world through 24 separate eyes. Real eyes, some of them with lenses, corneas, and retinas, capable of focusing light and forming an actual image. And here is the part that should genuinely stop you. Behind those 24 eyes, there is no brain. Not a small brain, not a simple one, none at all. There is no head for one to sit in. Evolution built this animal a sophisticated set of cameras and then put absolutely no one behind them to look through. And somehow, impossibly, it works anyway. This is the Australian box jellyfish, one of the most extraordinary animals in the sea. And forget the venom for a moment, because the real mystery is how a bag of water with no brain can see at all. Let's start by throwing out everything you think you know about jellyfish, because this animal breaks the picture immediately. When you imagine a jellyfish, you probably picture a soft, passive thing, drifting wherever the current takes it, a brainless bag adrift at the mercy of the sea. The box jellyfish is not that. It is an active, powerful swimmer. It propels itself deliberately through the water by contracting its bell and jetting forward, and it can move at a genuine pace, fast enough to pursue prey rather than wait for it to bump into a dangling tentacle. It does not drift, it hunts. Even its shape sets it apart. Where most jellyfish are round, this one is a squared-off, transparent cube, a box, which is where the name comes from, and from its lower corners trail the tentacles, which in a large animal can extend as long as 3 meters, each one lined with millions of stinging cells. It cruises the shallows with purpose, chasing down the small fish and shrimp it feeds on, actively steering its own course. Divers who have watched them describe an animal that seems to register them and deliberately swim around, changing direction to avoid a large obstacle rather than blundering into it the way a drifting jelly would. This is not the behavior of something adrift. It is the behavior of something that is paying attention. This is the first crack in everything you assumed, and it matters, because active hunting demands something passive drifting does not. To chase prey, to avoid obstacles, to choose a direction and hold it, you need information about the world around you. You need to see. And a drifting bag has no use for eyes. A hunter does, which is exactly why this animal is carrying one of the strangest sensory systems in the entire animal kingdom. Before we get to those eyes, though, one thing has to be said honestly, because it is the kind of claim that gets thrown around carelessly, and getting it right is the difference between science and slop. You will often hear the box jellyfish called the most venomous animal on Earth, and the truth is that the title is genuinely disputed and depends entirely on how you choose to measure it. Measured one way, the crown goes to a snake like the inland taipan. Measured another, to a cone snail, or even to the box jelly's own tiny cousin, the araucaniae. The box jellyfish's claim to the title rests on a very specific and very grim distinction: the sheer speed with which its venom can kill a human being in the water, where a victim in cardiac distress can drown in moments. Its venom attacks on 3 fronts at once, hitting the heart, the nervous system, and the skin simultaneously. And in a severe sting, it can bring on cardiac arrest within minutes. That is real, and it is the reason these waters are taken so seriously in the Australian summer, patrolled, netted, and posted with warnings during the months these animals come near the shore. So the danger is not exaggerated, but it is also, for our purposes, almost beside the point. The sting itself is delivered not by a bite, but by those millions of stinging cells, each a microscopic loaded harpoon that fires on contact in a fraction of a second, among the fastest movements in all of biology. Because the venom, terrifying as it is the ordinary part of this animal. Plenty of things in the sea are venomous. Almost nothing in the sea, or anywhere else, can do what this jellyfish does with its eyes and its complete absence of a brain. So let's go there, because that is where it stops resembling anything else alive. 24 eyes, not 2, not the pair we assume is standard for a seeing animal. 24, and not light-sensitive patches, not crude spots that can only tell bright from dark, but 24 genuine visual organs, arranged with a strange and deliberate symmetry. They are clustered into 4 separate structures spaced evenly around the box-shaped bell, one on each flat side, and each of those 4 clusters carries 6 eyes, for 24 in total. Each of those 4 clusters is a small sensory tower called a ropalium, hanging into the bell, and packed into each one is an entire suite of eyes of different kinds, pointing in different directions, watching different things. And within each cluster of 6, the eyes are not all the same. 4 of them are simpler, the kind of pit and slit eyes you might expect from an invertebrate. But the other 2 are the ones that defy belief. They are true, complex, lensed eyes, each equipped with a lens, a cornea, and a retina, the same fundamental architecture found in the eye of a fish, or a squid, or you. These are camera eyes, built to focus light and cast a real, resolved image onto a layer of light-sensing cells. Curiously, their lenses are good enough to form a sharp picture, but the retina behind them sits too close to actually receive that image in full focus, as though the animal deliberately blurs its own vision, keeping only the large, important shapes and discarding the fine detail it has no use for and no way to process. Even the imperfections of these eyes look designed. Sit with the sheer strangeness of that inventory for a moment. This is an animal with no bones, no blood, no head, no recognizable face of any kind, and it is carrying around a more elaborate visual system than a great many animals with backbones. It has more distinct eyes than almost anything you can name, and among them a set of image-forming eyes as sophisticated, in their basic design, as the ones you are using to watch this right now. It took evolution, on your branch of the tree of life, an immense investment of neural machinery to make eyes like these worth having. The jellyfish grew the eyes and skipped the machinery entirely. By every measure of the equipment, this jellyfish is superbly, almost extravagantly, built to see, which makes the thing sitting behind all those eyes, or rather the thing not sitting there, all the more impossible, because there is no brain, anywhere. In you and in every animal you would normally think of as being able to see, the eye is only half the story, and arguably the less remarkable half. The eye gathers the light, but it is the brain that does the seeing, taking the raw image and interpreting it, recognizing an obstacle, identifying prey, deciding what to do. The eye is a camera. The brain is the mind looking at the photograph. Take away the brain and, by everything we understand about vision, you should be left with a camera pointed at nothing, an image formed and then simply lost, because there is no one home to receive it. And the box jellyfish has no brain. It has no central processing organ of any kind, nothing we could point to and call the place where thinking, or seeing, happens. What it has instead is a diffuse ring of nerves running around the base of its bell, a distributed net with no center, no headquarters, no command post. It is worth dwelling on how completely this violates our intuitions. We treat the brain as the seat of the animal, the thing that in some sense is the creature itself, with the body as its vehicle. A box jellyfish has the vehicle and the cameras and the weapons, and simply nothing in the driver's seat, and it drives anyway. Whatever is running this animal, it is not a thinker and it is not a self. It is a system, and the system is enough. So we are left with a genuinely staggering question, the question this entire animal poses just by existing and functioning. If there is no brain to interpret what those 24 eyes are seeing, then in what sense is the animal seeing at all? How does an image that lands on a retina turn into an action, a turn, a chase, a course correction, with no mind anywhere in the loop to make sense of it? For a long time, that looked less like a biological puzzle and more like a contradiction in terms. And then researchers worked out what this animal is actually doing with its impossible eyes. And the answer is so elegant, it reframes the entire problem. The trick is that the box jellyfish is not trying to understand what it sees. It is not building a rich picture of the world and pondering it. Instead, its visual system is wired to do a small number of very specific jobs, directly, almost mechanically, without any need for a mind to interpret anything. And the clearest, most beautiful example involves those lensed eyes and the question of which way is up. Different eyes in each cluster appear to be tuned to different jobs, some watching for the dark shapes of obstacles to steer around, some tracking the bright world above, none of them trying to do everything at once. In each of the 4 clusters, the eyes hang from a small stalk weighted at the bottom by a heavy crystal, a tiny ballast. No matter how the jellyfish tilts and rolls as it swims, that weight drags the cluster into the same orientation every time, like the needle of a compass always swinging back to north. This is a real, physical solution to a problem that in you is handled by the brain and the inner ear working together. The jellyfish solves it with nothing but a weight and gravity, offloading the entire job of knowing which way is up onto a dangling stone. And the effect is that one particular lensed eye in each cluster is kept permanently pointed straight up, toward the surface, no matter what the rest of the animal is doing. Now, why would an animal want an eye that always looks up? The answer, revealed in one of the most remarkable experiments in the field, is navigation. Box jellyfish live in shallow coastal habitats, and at least one species has been shown to steer by looking up through the surface of the water at the canopy of mangrove trees lining the shore. By keeping that overhead view in sight, the animal can tell how far it is from the shelter and the prey-rich shallows near the trees, and it adjusts its course to stay close, all by reading the pattern of branches and sky above the waterline. Move a box jellyfish away from the trees in the experiments, and it swims back toward them. Block its view of the canopy, and it loses its way. The behavior is precise, repeatable, and entirely automatic. It is using its eyes not to contemplate the world, but to hold a heading, a piece of pure, purposeful navigation carried out with no thought behind it whatsoever. The processing that does happen appears to take place right there in the eye clusters themselves, each one a little semi-independent sensory station, handling its own narrow task and feeding simple signals into the nerve ring that coordinates the animal's movement. Think of it less as one animal with a mind and more as a small committee of reflexes with no chairman, each eye cluster calling out a simple instruction: turn toward the trees, pull away from the shadow, jet forward, and the body obeying the sum of them. No single part of the system understands what the animal is doing. The animal does it anyway. There is no central self weighing it all up. There is only a set of specialized visual reflexes, each one wired to produce the right action, distributed around the rim of a swimming bell. The jellyfish does not see the way you see. It sees the way a machine sees, and that turns out to be entirely enough. And that is the thought this animal leaves you with, once you set the venom aside where it belongs. Step back and look at the whole impossible package. This is a creature that is roughly 95% water. It has no skeleton, no blood, no heart in the sense you would recognize, no head, and no brain. By almost every standard we use to judge what a complex, capable animal is, it should be little more than a drifting scrap of living jelly. And instead, it is a fast, active, purposeful predator that sees the world through 24 eyes, navigates by the trees on the shore, hunts down its prey, and kills with one of the swiftest weapons in the ocean, firing thousands of microscopic venom-tipped harpoons from its tentacles in the instant of contact. Read that list back and notice how much of it is supposed to require exactly the organ this animal does not have: seeing, navigating, choosing, hunting. Every one of them, in the animals we know best, is a job we hand to the brain, and this creature performs all of them with nothing in that role. It does all of this with no mind behind the eyes, no central place where any of it comes together into an experience. Evolution built a superb set of cameras, wired them directly to a set of reflexes, hung the whole thing on a bag of seawater, and produced a lethal, seeing hunter without ever bothering to build a brain to run it. And it is old, this design, far older than fish or reptiles or anything with a backbone. Jellyfish and their kin are among the most ancient animals on the planet, working versions of a body plan that was already drifting through the seas hundreds of millions of years before the first brain as we know it ever evolved. The box jellyfish is not a primitive draft on the way to something better. It is a fully realized alternative, a different answer to the problem of being an animal at all. It is one of the cleanest demonstrations in all of nature that intelligence, as we usually think of it, is not required to behave as though you have it. The box jellyfish does not know it is hunting. It does not know anything. And it is, all the same, extraordinarily good at staying alive, which forces a genuinely unsettling question about how much of what any animal does really needs a mind at all. We like to imagine there is always someone in there, some flicker of experience behind the behavior. The box jellyfish is the quiet, brainless proof that there does not have to be. Because if a brainless bag of water can build eyes this good and use them this well, it starts to loosen our grip on what we think a body needs in order to do the impossible. And Australia, as it happens, is full of animals that break exactly those rules. There is a creature there so ancient and so strange that when Europeans first encountered its close relative, they refused to believe it was real. A mammal that lays eggs like a reptile, has no nipples, and hunts its food in total darkness using a sixth sense wired into its snout, detecting the faint electricity of living muscle. It has survived, almost unchanged, for over 100 million years, outlasting nearly everything, and it does something with its own body that is arguably even harder to believe than seeing without a brain. It is called the echidna, and it may be the strangest surviving mammal on Earth, a living contradiction that, like the jellyfish, was assembled by evolution out of parts that were never supposed to belong to the same animal.